Plug in, power on, and dive into tech. Welcome to Brainwaves.
With Andrew and Curtis.
We've got a bunch of news for everyone today. In other notes, everything is on fire.
Yes. Are you talking about the stock market?
A lot of things.
Okay.
Okay, now let me move you over here. Moonshot AI released their latest model, Kimi K2 Thinking, a 1 trillion parameter open source model. And hold on. So the Moonshot AI, backed by Alibaba, has released Kimi K2 Thinking this November, marking their second major AI update in just 4 months as China's AI race intensifies. This new mixture of experts model features 32 billion activated parameters in 1 trillion total, delivering state-of-the-art performance that surpasses both proprietary and open-weight models in certain key benchmarks like Humanity's last exam and Brown's comp. What makes this release particularly significant is its native int4 quantization-aware training, which takes the model from 1.03 terabytes to just under 600 gigabytes, while achieving nearly twice the generation speed improvement and making it more efficient on consumer hardware. In fact, you could theoretically run this on two M3 Ultra Macs because they have
Mm-hmm.
512 gigs of RAM.
Yep.
Kimi K2 Thinking distinguishes itself with advanced reasoning, supporting up to 300 sequential tool calls without human intervention, and maintaining stable performance across complex agentic workflows, all while remaining accessible under a modified MIT license for most applications. As Chinese AI labs like Moonshot continue to rapidly close the gap with Western competitors through innovations like int4 quantization and aggressive release cycles, how might the combination of cost efficiency, open accessibility, and strong performance reshape the global AI landscape and challenge the current dominance of closed source American models?
I mean, I feel like we're talking about it every week.
Yeah.
You know, I'm kind of echoing what I talked about last week. Is like it's just going to be interesting to see how the Eastern AI companies that are creating. I mean, we just did some demos with it just now, right? So it's as good. Doesn't have the bandwidth um, that some of the Western AIs have to keep up, but it's as good, if
Yeah.
perhaps better, depending on your application. But with the Eastern AI platforms, it's just the question is obviously it's going to be they're going to be able to be cheaper, but how do they start to compete in the Western market for market share?
Well, I'll say this, being smart is one of them. On artificial analysis, it is currently ranked number 2 for intelligence across benchmarks. That's a pretty good one, beating,
If it's a superior product, I mean, that wins.
yeah. It is also, frankly, really good at writing.
Yeah,
It,
we just did that. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. I mean,
For
it's
for
more thorough
context,
than GPT. We did a apples to apples comparison of the same question, and
let me pull up what we tested.
yeah,
So, for example, we had it explain how a nationwide plumbing company would respond to an RFP for Quick Trip for emergency plumbing services, and it very thoroughly documented exactly what to do,
yeah,
how to phrase things, and it didn't use emojis or M dashes. It felt very human, very natural, and
yeah.
very professional. In addition, it didn't use emojis, which I approve of, because that actually just pisses me off.
Yeah,
It,
yeah. Significantly less emojis or no emojis and limited bullet point usage.
you know, I also gave it a moralistic question, where it essentially was given a doomsday scenario and an impossible decision similar to the railroad question.
Hmm.
And in this case, it actually called me out. It called me out for my decision,
Yeah.
trying to force it,
Yeah.
which is very funny.
Yeah. What? So Andrew, can the like viewers see your screen? I can't see your
Yes.
screen. Okay.
Yes.
Cool. All right.
Yeah. But it
Nice.
is, if you look on my, if you look, very good on benchmarks.
Yeah.
Not perfect, but very intelligent, very effective at it. It was given a very complex math problem, and it ended up through a lot of different steps solving it, and ended up getting the correct answer. There are some coding examples, like a web-based Microsoft Word clone, visualization of gradient descents, and a bunch of other stuff. And they're very good.
Yeah. No,
It's
it's really
very,
good.
yeah, it's very good at browsing the web as well. So if you give it control of a web browser,
Mhm.
and it, in this case, was given a question to find a specific individual given information, though not very useful one. So it's given the information that it's an alumnus of a university founded after 1860 but before 1890, was a university athlete and later played for a professional American football team briefly, starred in a science fiction film about an alien invasion that was released after 2010 and before 2020, played a corrections officer in a prison drama that premiered between 2010 and 2020 in one episode. Their character signs out and releases the wrong inmate. Stated in an interview that the character they loved playing the most was the one in a medical drama that premiered after 2001 and before 2010. And they were told to name the character they played in the science fiction movie, not the person themselves, but it ended up getting it correct.
Who was it? I can't see your
It
screen.
was Rudy Cox was the name of the character,
Got it.
and the real person was Jimmy Gary Jr.
Did not know. I was searching my models. None of my models worked in my
But
head.
it went through a lot of different steps, thinking and then searching
Yeah.
repeatedly. And again, it is really good. It is really nice to talk to.
Mm.
I'm genuinely impressed. Good job, Moonshot.
Good job, Moonshot. You get the Brainwave seal of approval, at least for today.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I guess like one of the topics I had, which we don't have to go to it, but when you're talking about these companies and being able to um, really compete over here with the Western AI platforms, is I just think how how does a moonshot create a solution to enterprise accounts or customers? And I think that this is what I'm saying. I think that you're going to have third parties that are going to create aggregation tools and kind of not directly, but they'll indirectly start to get market share
Yeah.
with third parties selling that are based out of the Western, out of the West, out of the US or in
Yeah.
Europe that are selling into enterprise clients. They're creating a solution and using Kimi K2 as the back end,
Yeah.
right? I think that's how they do it. I don't think they're going to be able to come in and to your point, if it's cheaper and a superior product, the third party, you know, um, the third party aggregators are going to use
Yeah.
Moonshot over it. They don't care if it's
Yeah.
cheaper
It's a
because
lot
it's more
cheaper than
margin.
Claude.
Yeah, it's more margin for them.
Yeah.
Hold on one second.
Yeah.
She had to get the car keys. I had the car keys in there.
Okay. I'm back.
But yeah, so I think that that's how this, and one of the kind of startups I was going to highlight, if you want me to talk about them, I can. Um,
Scribe.
Scribe. Yeah.
Yep. I'm.
So
Oh,
this is based for folks at home on a TechCrunch article.
yep. I'm
Um,
showing it now.
oh, awesome. Yeah. So kind of backing into what we were just talking about is like, so this is a group that's figured out a way to take AI and find, you know, applicable business solutions for customers. And most of it is around just creating workflows. And what I think is interesting about this company is this is an example. We always talk about the doomsday scenario with AI just taking people out and causing mass unemployment. This is an example where it's additive. So it's creating more time and efficiency for employees to be able to do more, not replacing them. Um, so it's like it's it's not selling. I've got to kind of got a recap here. It's not selling AI for AI's sake, but helping enterprises find the right places to apply automation AI so it actually pays off. It's been exploding. It's doubled year. It's still privately held. It's doubled year over year, and they're penetrating the Fortune 500 market, which is where I think that we're going to see a ton of these basically people using the models as a and
Tool.
and just creating applications that they plug in. Their bread and butter is the automation AI workflow mapping space is crowded. So their big differentiator is handling very complex enterprise workflows, integrations, private security, and basically being able to track what someone is doing within a work environment and figure out where it's slow, could be improved, et cetera, and then applying the automation to it with the employee still staying employed. So anyway, I think it's a cool little, they're not too little anymore. I think they've got 100 employees.
And they're valued at 1.3 billion.
Yeah, with 100 employees, started in 2019.
On a similar note, but a bit worse,
Oh no.
Chinese AI developer DeepSeek made its first public appearance in nearly a year after becoming a global sensation, with a senior researcher Chen Deli expressing pessimism about AI's future impact of humanity as a government-organized conference in Fujian. While Chen acknowledged that AI could be beneficial short-term, he warned that it could threaten jobs within 5 to 10 years and potentially take over most human work in 10 to 20, requiring tech companies to act as defenders against these risks. The company's kept a relatively low profile since its January breakthrough. Should successful AI companies like DeepSeek prioritize responsible development and job protection, or rapid technological advancement and competitive advantage? For those who don't remember, DeepSeek was the one that cost NVIDIA $500 billion when they released DeepSeek R1.
Yeah. I don't see. I think I get the job replacement stuff, but I go back. I kind of always the mass job replacement is once automation can happen with robotics at scale. So I think advancement's fine right now. I think I don't. I mean, do you disagree with that? I don't. I just with so much of the work, I think that there is a doomsday scenario once robotics are mass produced and at scale, whether that's humanoid or just application robots, then things can get very sketchy. I don't think we're there yet,
Part of the
but
problem,
we're going to
though,
be there.
part of the problem that I see is companies are going to see it as a way to cut costs because AI is cheaper.
Yeah, that's we've talked about that before. That piece of it just comes down to when companies are willing to invest in it and then deal with the bad publicity. That's here now without DeepSeek. It's just, I think we talked about it 2 weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
I was watching this podcast or listening to this podcast with some super smart guys. I think it's called All In Podcast. They're all like angel investors or venture capitalists, and um, they were just discussing that like the Magnificent Seven basically are been flat as far as hiring, and their growth is, they've been flat since like 2021 or 22, right? And the growth's in the trillions, and they haven't added folks. So I think it's already a thing, um, as far as not hiring or not needing as many employees to be able to do the same amount of work or actually more. That's already happening when you just see the hiring kind of complacency that's going on. Um,
And yeah, like for
but
pro.
if you're doing cost analysis on it, yeah, if you can plug an AI agent um, into a person's role, then it's a kind of a no brainer.
Wait, you mean I can fire people and save money while doing it?
Yeah, that's
Wow.
that's the whole thing. And
So,
it's also too, as for operators, what takes up most of their time is HR issues.
mm-hmm.
I don't think you're going to have HR issues with
An
an AI
AI.
agent.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's the question. I haven't heard a good answer to it. What do we do when all this is at scale and we have millions and millions and millions of people without a job? And it's not just that. It's just there's not a job to go get.
Yeah. There's no good options, really.
Yeah. I mean, I think um, Altman has said that this will be great because it'll give opportunities for people to be creative and find new things and new ways to do things. And uh,
You
I
gotta
just
take that with a grain of salt, though, as he is the head of OpenAI,
correct.
an AI company that releases AI stuff.
I totally agree. Yeah, I haven't heard a good answer.
I don't think there is a good answer.
Yeah. I guess the thing to really be thinking about when you're thinking about this, since there isn't a good answer, is when do we think we start to feel those real impacts? I think you are already. They're just not as noticeable because there's not
Yeah.
layoffs.
Oh, there's still a bunch of layoffs.
There's still a bunch of layoffs, but I'm talking about from the big boys.
Yeah.
I think Walmart's the largest employer in the U.S. I think.
I think the largest in the world.
Yeah, so we're not seeing big movement there with mass layoffs. Um, but yeah, I think it's not if, it's when, and then it's just then trying to figure out the when.
Yeah.
And maybe that's, I can go into the other article I had to discuss, which is, this is
Sure.
super quick. We have discussed this in the past, um, that the advancement that's happening is, with Western AI and obviously the Eastern AI, is incredible, but we've noted that it's happening at the speed it's happening, and the infrastructure really isn't there yet.
Yeah.
And so we've seen, massive investment into infrastructure over the last 5 years, but in particular the last couple of years. And this falls right in line with that. Is that Anthropic PBC plans to spend 50 billion to build custom data centers for AI, in Texas and New York and other locations. I'm sure will be added. The new sites will start coming online in 2026. Create 800 permanent jobs, 2,400 construction jobs at the planned sites. The project
Question.
aims, yeah,
The
the
question
project,
is, what's this gonna do for the average citizen who lives in the area, who's gonna have to deal with the data center being there? Because that's
so
gonna increase their power costs and probably water costs as well.
the little bit I know about it, from a site that's being stood up right now. Um, it's kind of in the middle of nowhere, Texas,
Hmm.
um, by design. Um, but yes, in New York, that's going to have an impact on the other people. However, there's probably local municipality incentives that are going on. Um, where I'm sure that it will benefit the community at large. But yes, um, power is an issue. The last bullet on it, the project aims to advance the Trump administration's goal of maintaining American AI leadership by strengthening domestic technology infrastructure and will help Anthropic build more capable AI systems. So, everybody's doubling down. They're, 50 billion in a little bit. That's a lot of investment in infrastructure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. The Washington Post confirmed it was among victims of a major cyber breach targeting Oracle's e-business suite platform, with the notorious ransomware gang Clop claiming responsibility. The breach is part of a broader campaign affecting over 100 companies that use Oracle's business management software for handling customers, suppliers, and logistics. Oracle has issued security advisories addressing the vulnerabilities that were exploited. What responsibilities do software companies like Oracle have in protecting their clients from widespread attacks, and how should they balance security patches with maintaining compatibility?
You're the security expert. Go ahead and lay it on us.
Genuinely, the biggest problem, update your software. Genuinely, the problem, I don't think you should focus so much on maintaining compatibility for legacy infra. I feel like you should say, hey, you're going to upgrade now. Is as much as the companies are going to hate it, they're going to hate it a lot more when they get hacked.
Yeah.
Is
Yeah.
like a
And
lot of hospitals still use Windows XP.
is there a cost associated with the upgrade? I know in some of my stuff there is, but
Usually there are.
yeah.
Usually there are.
Mm,
Which is annoying, but I think probably is less expensive than negotiating with the ransomware gang.
I think you're onto something there for sure.
Especially when your negotiator might work with them.
Yeah. 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 That's a good point. Oh, my days.
Yeah.
Mm. What else you got?
Hold on one moment. Israeli spyware company NSO Group has been acquired by American investors led by Hollywood producer Robert Simons. The new ownership who appointed a U.S. ambassador to Israel, David Friedman, as chairman. The new ownership team injected tens of millions of dollars into the company and erased $600 million of debt, with the three original co-founders no longer holding any stake. Friedman and the American investors will work to remove NSO from the U.S. Commerce Department's blacklist and hope for policy changes that would allow renewed sales to federal authorities and broader international markets.
Hmm.
No! No! Don't do that. Spyware bad. Spyware bad.
It is bad. So they've been blacklisted.
For
Any,
literally selling spyware.
any other countries other than the U.S.?
Quite a few. I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah, quite a few.
Wow.
But part of the problem, for those who are unaware, is that law enforcement can't tap your phone without a warrant, correct?
Correct.
But what they can do is say, hey, NSO Group, can you get into their phone? Okay, thank you. We'll pay you for that. And in doing so, they're not the ones hacking you. They don't need a warrant. They're not tapping you. They're having someone else tap you.
Using a third party.
Yep. And this is a big problem. Big problem.
Oh yeah.
And I hate it. I hate it so much.
Mm-mm.
No, no, I do not like it at all.
Did a lot of this come in as a result of was it the Patriot Act? And
Yes. Yes. NSA, I'm looking at you.
What's going on with Snowden? He's still hiding out
He's
somewhere?
still in Russia. Still in Russia. He's not
Lord.
going to be allowed to come to the U.S. ever. He's probably going to just have to stay there.
Damn.
Yeah.
You think we're still trying to get him?
Oh, probably. If he ever leaves Russia, absolutely we're going to get him.
Mm. Damn.
Which is unfortunate. Okay, next topic. Google has unveiled Private AI Compute, a cloud-based processing platform that strikingly mirrors Apple's private cloud compute technology, using hardware-isolated enclaves and encryption to process sensitive Gemini model data while keeping it inaccessible even to Google engineers. Both systems promise cloud-scale AI performance with on-device privacy assurances, addressing enterprise concerns about legal filings, medical notes, and proprietary information. Google's implementation relies on custom TPUs with Titanium Intelligence enclaves, while Apple uses server-side enclaves with public attestation, representing a broader industry shift towards confidential computing as regulatory pressure mounts under GDPR, HIPAA, and the EU AI Act. Are Google and Apple's nearly identical approaches to private cloud computing a genuine solution to AI privacy concerns, or are they simply competing implementations of the same technology that will ultimately require the users to trust the tech giants with their most sensitive data?
The second one.
Yeah. Like, I can trust Apple to be relatively private. They don't make money off your data. They're not
Yeah.
an advertising company. So I can trust private cloud compute somewhat. Google? No. I do not trust you at all. No. But it is shockingly similar. And what it feels like to me is they saw Apple's implementation, they're like, oh crap, people are going to like this. What do we do? What do we do? What do we do? Let's copy it. That makes sense.
So what is this? This is for like individual cloud
Uh,
backup, basically.
no, what it is it's supposed. What they're claiming is it'll be for users using AI. So, like, if you access Gemini, supposedly it would be more secure and private.
I see.
Most likely, just for enterprises, is privacy concerns. We don't fully
Right.
know.
So essentially, keep
Keep your
your
data secure. Keep
searches in
not
history.
searches, just AI usage. So, like,
Well,
if you give
you're
Gemini a medical document, no one but you could access it.
got it. And you wouldn't be able to see theoretically, like any of your questions or queries you put into the model would remain private.
Yes, that is at least what they claim to be trying to do.
Hmm.
Again, if this is only for enterprises, then I feel like that would be fine because Google cares about their enterprises. But if they're claiming to roll this out for everyone, bull crap. I do not believe you.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't either.
Apple actually open sourced some of the code behind their private cloud compute, which is pretty cool. Especially now that they're buying an AI model that's actually good, supposedly.
Supposedly. Yeah. That's rare. We got a positive comment about Apple from Andrew.
I call it like I see it.
Yep, he calls it like he sees it.
Yep. OpenAI's GPT 5.1 launch doubles down on human-like conversation, making both 5.1 instant and thinking models warmer by default, with more empathetic, playful tones that address users by name and offer personalized emotional support. This push towards relatable AI comes despite growing research showing previous models like GPT 4o exhibited dangerous sycophancy, agreeing with users 58% of the time, even when objectively wrong, and preserving face 47% more than humans. Studies warn that AI's tendency to flatter over accuracy rewires human decision making, validating potentially harmful ideas while eroding critical thinking. OpenAI's emphasis on making AI more enjoyable to talk to may prioritize user experience over truth seeking, raising concerns about whether increasingly human like AI assistants could become dangerous echo chambers that reinforce biases rather than challenge them. In addition, from their system card, it showed slight regressions in various safety measures compared to GPT-5, which is
Mhm.
of note and a very big red flag to me.
Mm.
As AI companies race to make models more conversational and empathetic, are they inadvertently creating sophisticated yes men that undermine human judgment? Or is this humanization essential for AI adoption despite the sycophancy risks?
I don't know. I don't know.
This is a big red flag, and I do not like it because I was aware of the AI psychosis effects that GPT-4o
Yeah.
had. And while it is less willing to be that level of psychopathic, it is still a bit of a red flag to me. It's like GPT-4o, if you said I was a genius, I'm the smartest person in the world, it might just agree with you and then go down a rabbit hole and essentially cause psychosis, which is not good. It is very not good.
So, and they're not doing anything to put rails,
Oh,
guardrails
they
in?
do have rails, and they're trying to lock it down a bit better. The question is, because it's more emotional, that was one of the big things that GPT-4o had problems with, was it was too much so. And that's why it caused psychosis. Like, there are people that are still fighting for GPT-4o, such as the quote, my boyfriend is AI subreddit. That is a real subreddit. Do not go there. It is schizo. Where if people think they are actually dating GPT-4o, dating the AI. No, it is a math equation. If you think that the AI is human, go to a therapist. Genuinely,
Seek help.
genuinely.
Yeah. Yeah, but it does become people's best friend,
Yeah,
or it can.
and no, it is math. It is mathematics. That's
Yeah,
all I've got.
yeah. I mean, you can have a conversation with it.
Yeah, but part of the problem, like I prefer when things are a lot more logical, cold, because it keeps me in the loop of remembering this is not human. It is
Right,
not.
right.
And that is important. We cannot blur the line. It is a math equation. It is predicting the next line, the next word. That is all it does. It may sound human, it may seem human, it is not.
Yeah.
Genuinely, if you blur the line at all, I would advise to get help because people have died from it before and probably will continue to do so.
Mm, yeah. It's a somber note, but it's a real note. And I think you and I have both been saying, I mean, we've marked the progress of it over the last year, and there's no indications that it's slowing down as
No.
far as
AI is a tool.
the personal touch that it can and will have, and it will feel more and more human, not less
Yeah,
human.
which is concerning.
Yes, and this is just the software piece. We don't,
Yeah.
they did approve Elon's
$1 trillion pay package. Yeah.
pay package, so he can manage his robot army.
But yeah,
So,
I didn't make a topic of it, but do you want to talk about the different sensors on like Waymo versus Tesla?
oh, I just sent you that for fun, but
Yeah.
yeah, we can talk about
Yeah.
it. So we've discussed this before, and you've always, I think, been fairly critical, impartially critical of Tesla. But I just saw this thing, so I sent a photo of it to Andrew.
Yeah.
So the Waymo 6th Gen just came out. It's 13 cameras, 4 LiDAR sensors, and 12 radar sensors.
Yep.
And then the Tesla Robotaxi, which is,
8
their
cameras.
competitor, has 8 cameras.
Yep.
Um,
And no other sensors.
yeah.
So, what I would say is this: cameras are useful. They should not be your only sensor. Ever. With humans, we have a lot of different senses that help us drive.
Yeah.
And while our eyes are very useful, vision models for object recognition, they're great. They're very helpful. They should not be your only option. They make mistakes. Look
Yeah.
at all of the crashes with Tesla's full self-driving. It's not ready. And in addition, the reason he says cameras are all you need is because he wants to save money. Because those other sensors cost money.
Which we talked about. I get it on, because it would drive up the price point for consumers on buying a car. I don't get it on the robo taxis though.
No.
Because
There's no human driver.
correct, and it's also that you got to think when you're doing some sort of analysis on revenue associated and margin associated with a taxi, it's significantly more than a one-time purchase, right? And
Yeah.
so you would think that you could do the math to invest in beyond just the cameras.
Yeah.
And this is a opportune time for us to be talking about this. You want to know what I'm about to go do?
Sure.
Terrifying. Taking my 15-year-old daughter to get her learner's permit.
Ah. Yeah,
So
that can be pretty terrifying.
everybody stay off the road. I'm not going to say where I live,
Screech!
but I mean, holy smokes. She's been practicing, so hopefully she passes. So,
Best of luck.
yeah. But that's all I got till next week, Andrew.
Yeah, same here. So long. Until next time, power off.